Hello, welcome to my new part-time job at the Fact Bank. We've got Axe in the back doing loans today.
For you, you deserve nothing. Nuh-uh. No, not this time. You get nothing.
He's pretty harsh. He's pretty harsh with the customers. But I'm here to offer you, as a new subscriber and existing subscribers, I'm here to offer you a deal. I'm going to teach you the basics, the basic mechanics of Artifact. Enjoy the video. Heroes come in 4 different colours: blue, black, red and green. They have 3 equipable item slots, which we'll cover off later, and they also have a ability. Some are continuous and some are active, which I'll explain in the ability section. And a couple of heroes have no abilities at all, such as Axe. Blue heroes tend to have weak stats, so poor attack and poor health. They focus on magic mainly, in the form of AoE, card draw and mana regeneration. They're considered late game cards due to their cost of the spells. They're particularly squishy in the early game and aren't recommended for early deployment. It's difficult to draft a blue deck in Gauntlet or draft mode just because of their stat line, and it can be difficult to find some of those powerful spells. Black heroes tend to have high damage and medium health. They focus on single target removal on creeps and on heroes. Generally, black is considered the aggressive type and has supplementary cards to attack towers through creeps, such as siege, and also some upgrades that will attack towers every turn. In draft mode, black heroes are pretty popular because of their high attack and removal spells, so that makes them pretty easy to draft. And also the basic card Debbie is considered one of the best of the basic cards. Red heroes are the most survivable in the way of stat line. They generally have high health and armor, and the red pool cards have very good creeps. Some of them contain armor, so their creeps generally stick around also. Having creeps survive in lane is very valuable. Some of the red spells can be considered weaker due to the cost and their abilities, but some red cards do provide stun and CC, so depending on the draft, red is particularly powerful with green and black. Lastly, we have green cards. Typically they have quite high health stats, but their attack stats kind of mid-range, between 4 and 5. Green focuses on more of buffing your allies with armor, health and regeneration. They're more of a defensive tool. They can provide ramp as well, so they can ramp up your mana by 1 or 2. Generally, this is considered more of a control and mid-range sort of colour, just because it focuses on creep buffs and hero buffs. So you basically fight for the lane with your creeps using armor and regeneration. The flop is a poker term used in Artifact to describe the beginning of a game. 3 heroes will go into 3 separate lanes. This is random and it can be viewed at the top left, so you can see where your heroes have been placed. This is one of the RNG aspects of the game, but it can be manipulated quite well during the drafting phase. So as you can see here, we have 5 selected heroes, and it goes from Beastmaster all the way to Axe. The first 3 selected heroes will start in the flop. When ordering your heroes, you want to put the highest stat line first, and move any weak stat line heroes or any heroes that have a long active ability cooldown towards the back. Based on this, we want to move Axe and Sniper, and we want to move Chen and Treant Protector, so our 3 starting heroes are our most powerful. There are 3 types of equipable items: weapons, armor and accessories. In total, there are 13 weapons, 15 armors, and 13 accessories, ranging from 3 gold up to 25 gold. Your hero can only equip one of these at a time, but be aware you can overwrite a weapon, armor, or accessory. If you do overwrite it with a new weapon, you will lose that permanently. At the end of each round, you can buy items from the shop that you've earned in-game. To earn gold in the game, you simply have to kill a creep or a hero. You get 1 gold for a creep and 5 gold for a hero. So obviously if you do well in the first round, you can purchase a basic item typically. The shop will present you with 3 sections. The secret shop is on the left hand side. This will present you with a random item every round. If you want to buy the item but you can't afford it just yet, you can actually hold it using the hold feature at the top left. That will spend 1 gold, and that item will be available to you next round. The middle section here is items that you've put into your draft. So anything that you selected during the drafting phase will be presented here randomly. And on the far right hand side are consumables. These are typically health items such as healing salve or town scroll portal, which will give you the ability to teleport your hero back to the lane and redeploy them on the next turn. Armor in Artifact is pretty unique, at least it was to me when I first started. It can catch out new players quite a lot. So the way armor works, as you can see from this clip here, Axe has 2 armor and Treant has 4 attack. So you can see on the counter, Axe is only taking 2 damage there. Armor negates damage coming in based on how much armor you have. For example, if Axe had 4 armor there, he would take 0 damage. Armor also has a pretty unique way of calculating the sources of damage. For instance, in this clip here, if the Treant and the Creep were to attack Axe, Axe would still only take 2 damage. The way it works, armor calculates damage from all sources and deals with the damage on an individual basis. So, for example, the Creep would deal 2 damage to Axe, and the 2 armor would negate it. And then the Treant would deal 4 damage to Axe, and the armor would negate 2 of it. Armor also works with spells, which is one of the big things that caught me out early on. For instance, if you have a 4 damage spell, it will only do 2 damage to Axe. So spells also interact with armor in the same way. There are some spells that have piercing damage, which will completely ignore armor, such as Zeus's ultimate and Luna's ultimate all have piercing. Those spells are excellent for taking out low health heroes with high armor. Just to give you another visual example of how armor works, here are 2 heroes attacking Axe, one with 4 attack and one with 2 attack. And as you can see, Axe at this time has 4 armor and he's taking 0. So even though there's 6 total damage coming in, the armor is calculating the damage on an individual basis and then negating that damage. Some heroes come with abilities, continuous and active. Continuous abilities will be live while the hero is on the table. Once the hero dies, obviously the continuous ability doesn't work until they come back onto board. Some examples of continuous abilities are Treant. Treant will provide 2 armor to his adjacent allies. Another one is Venomancer. Venomancer will summon a Plague Ward in the lane he is currently situated at the start of each turn. Your hero's continuous ability can also influence which lane he's going to be put into. Something like Treant you'd want to put into a lane with some creeps or an ally there with low HP. Say you needed to buff someone up by 2 armor to prevent lethal damage. Someone like Venomancer, you want continuous Plague Wards going into a lane to provide pressure. If you're at an even level in one lane, you could put Veno in there and basically summon a extra unit into that lane at the end of at the start of each turn. Active abilities for heroes start on cooldown and after a number of turns will become live. For example, Sniper's Headshot has a active ability cooldown of 3 turns. So typically you'd want to deploy Sniper last. The active ability Headshot deals 5 damage to any target. Bigger active abilities such as Tidehunter's Ravage has a 4-turn cooldown. Typically with an active ability, you want to position a hero as well as possible to gain benefit from it. So if you have a Shen, typically you have to guess which lane your opponent's going to summon a big minion, and then you can then steal that minion. Similar for something like Tidehunter, using his Ravage, you want to gain as much value from that Ravage as possible, and you want to place him in a lane where you think the opponent's going to push a lot of heroes and creeps into. For active ability heroes, it's more strategic, knowing where your opponent's going to go and trying to predict your opponent's patterns to gain as much benefit from those abilities as possible. And the continuous effect ones are more reactive. You're going to a lane to influence that lane straight away with your continuous effect. Okay, I'm going to go through the board and the interface. So everything that you can see here, we're going to go over so you're not too confused when you first look at this. Bottom right hand side, you'll see the player's name followed by a gold icon, followed by the timer. So the name just indicates where that player's position, so life coach is on bottom and I'm on top. The gold icon just represents how much gold you've earned throughout the rounds. So when you get a creep kill, it's 1 gold. When you get a hero kill, it's 5 gold. So you'll see that tick up. The timer is the tournament timer. When that reaches 0, you actually lose the game. But it's very difficult to do that because at the end of each round, this timer will top up. So it's very difficult to actually lose the game with a timeout. Obviously in the middle, right at the bottom there, you can see the cards, and the parallel to that, you can see my cards. Just above that, you'll see the tower and how much HP it has. It has 40 HP currently and 3 mana. In Artifact, you actually start with 3 mana, and every turn it goes up by 1. So next turn you'll have 4 mana to play with. The objective in Artifact is to destroy 2 of these towers, or kill 1 tower, and when 1 tower dies, it spawns the Ancient, and then you can then kill that Ancient, but that Ancient will have 80 HP, so double the amount of a normal tower. In the top left corner, you'll see a grey box, which you're going to be using quite a lot. This box shows you where each of your heroes are deployed. So you can see in the first lane here, we have Bristleback and Treant. The other lane, we have a Treant and an Axe, and in the other lane, we have a Sven and a Beastmaster. So this gives you an overview of what the board looks like hero-wise. It shows you which player has initiative. So currently I have the initiative. That I'll explain in a more advanced video. This is just for the basics. And in the left hand side corner, you'll see a hero. Well, you'll see 2 heroes with a tick next to it. That means that those heroes are ready for deployment next round. Then you'll see Tidehunter and Sniper with a -1 on them. That means they're ready to deploy the turn after. And here, just below that, you can see a golden coin. The golden coin indicates whose turn it is at the moment. So when I play a card, this coin will flip down to Life Coach's side here. So that's just a general overview of what you can see. On board on Artifact, when something is taking damage, it will show you how much damage it's about to take. So you can see my tower at the top has a -4, and that's because these 2 creeps are about to deal 4 damage to the tower. You can see that Bristleback is doing 8 damage to my Treant, and my Treant is doing 4 to Bristle. And in Artifact, the way it works, if there is a minion in front of another minion, they must attack each other. If there is no minion blocking that minion will then hit the tower. In another video, I'll talk about arrows and minion placement. Again, that'll be slightly more advanced. This is just a basic video going over the mechanics. I hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be the last section of this video. I'm going to be playing Artifact and Hearthstone together. Just in case anyone's worried about me switching between 1 or 2, I'll still be doing both. Both games appeal to me in different ways. Artifact's definitely a lot of fun, and so is Hearthstone. So stay tuned for both videos. I'm going to be streaming Artifact when it's available to be streamed. I think it's in the next 4 days or so. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.